Hi and welcome to Counting Coral Chats. I'm Jolien Collier and I will be your host for today's interview. Here at Counting Coral, we like to reach out and interview people from all walks of life. Some folks are about ocean conservation and others can be marine biologists, scientists, and just your average person doing extraordinary things. Hi and welcome to Counting Coral Chats with David Haze. After reaching a low point in his life, David realized he was distracted from his true values and what made him come alive. David is now embarking on a journey of self-discovery, a quest to take his love for adventure and bringing people together out into the world. His aim is to inspire and motivate personal growth. Hey David, how are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Great, and thanks for taking the time to join us today. For those people who don't know what you're up to, we have many different lives as we move into adulthood, right? So, sometimes people go into being a lawyer, a marketing director. You're currently working with a solar company, but your passion is stand-up paddleboarding, and you have some really cool tales to tell about that. You're having a little adventure going on tomorrow. Unfortunately, we can't, talk about it as if it's been done, because we're airing this on Tuesday. So maybe you could lead us through what you're doing tomorrow, how you started all this, what your story is, and how all this came about for you. Starting with, your story of getting into stand-up paddling and your little adventure you got tomorrow and all the future adventures.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason I got into paddleboarding, I mean, I've always been a keen water fan, being keen, passionate about the ocean. I love the sea. I love being on the water. I've surfed most of my life. And, when paddleboarding started coming around, you have those flat days and you can't go surfing, I sort of turned to paddleboarding. And I just love the freedom it gives you, the fact you can go anywhere out in the water and it's quiet and all that. And I just absolutely fell in love with the sport. And then through that, I created my brand, Nomadic Paddler. But what I'm doing tomorrow is I'm doing a little 50k paddle from within Poole Harbour, which is a harbour near where I live, across the English Channel, which is quite a rough patch of sea, and over to the Isle of Wight to plant a tree. So I'm carrying a little baby tree with me for a charity called Gone West, who are tackling youth unemployment in the UK.
That's super cool. So you're going to strap a little oak tree to the paddleboard and just paddle 50k in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I've been waiting for a while. The weather's been quite bad over here. Like every weekend, we've had a lot of storms, but weather's looking good, so I'm going for it.
So they've given you this tree. You're going to paddle it out and then plant it as a ceremonial kind of statement for the non-profit. Is it a non-profit you're working for? Or,
yes,
it's sponsored by?
Yeah. So it's the charity, it's the non-profit charity who try and get guys or young people into jobs planting trees. And I've called the tree the Solent Tree of Hope and Freedom, because the Solent is a little stretch of water that I'll be going across. And I think the tree and the journey represents that sort of the difficult journey we all take in life sometimes. And this tree is life. It's precious, and I've got to keep it. You look after it, get it over to the nice location, plant it, make sure it's secure and safe, and grows into a fully ginormous British oak tree.
What a brilliant story. I mean, so could you talk us through what 50k looks like on a paddleboard in rough seas?
It's going to be about 10 hours of paddling. As long as, the wind, there isn't much wind, so that's going to be good. As long as the water's calm, then, I should be able to do 10 hours. I've done 57 before. So I'm quite, hopeful that I will do it. I know I will do it. But I do like the longer paddles. It's something that I really enjoy, sort of the endurance side of things as well.
Yeah, no, I could appreciate that. Once you get going, it's kind of like a mindset. You just, boom, I want to do it. I'm going to get to the end game and, be successful. And speaking of end games and being successful, you're trying to break a few records in the UK. Am I correct in this? Is this a Guinness Book of Record titles? And where are you paddling? Are you on the ocean? Are you on rivers? Where are you? How's that work?
Yeah, so the Guinness World Records. So basically, I put a campaign together called The Untamed Beasts. So the whole idea is these rivers are the beasts that I'm going to tame with my paddleboard, hopefully by setting the world records. But again, it's sort of the beasts inside me. So I'm on the water, pushing myself. I'm learning about myself, sort of taming the beast within me as well, learning to control everything. What I'm doing is I'm starting in the UK. So I'm going to do the River Thames, the longest in England, the River Tay, the longest in Scotland, the River Severn, which is the longest in Wales, and the River Bann, which is the longest in Northern Ireland. So I'm going to try and do those 4 within a month, hopefully in April next year. I was meant to do it in August, but COVID obviously is postponed that. And once I've done those, if I'm successful, then I would like to push it and go out across Europe and then do the longest in most of the European countries as well. I mean, there's only the River Thames is the only one that's got a record at the moment, which is 2 days, 14 hours and 8 minutes.
So essentially, you can break that record if you've got your your game on and you're just going for it. But then you can also set the records for the other rivers, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, do you have to have like a Guinness Book of Records recorder there that records your efforts, or is it like there's a stopwatch, you film it? Hey guys, look, I beat the record, and you submit it. How does that work?
Yeah, so you basically got to keep a log of everything. And anytime you leave the water, so obviously I'm not going to paddle for the 2 days straight. So when I sleep on the side of the river, I need somebody to register and log the fact I've come out of the water. And there's also 44 locks because we have a canal part of the River Thames. So I need to come out of the river 44 times to walk around the lock. So again, I need somebody to witness that I've come out and sign a piece of paper. I need a GPS and I need to take photos and I need to get in some sort of magazine as well, just to prove that I have done it. I have thought about having a friend sort of follow me along the Thames because there's a little track that runs alongside it. So maybe have him on his bike. So anytime I come out of the River Thames, he can witness it, which should be, is allowed. Get a photo, back in and crack on.
Are you videotaping any of this stuff? Are you going to document it?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I get a lot of photos, get the GoPro as well. A friend of mine, he's studying film at the moment. He's quite interested to film me as well, which, I love to do. And sort of just, create a whole sort of montage of all of it when it's finished, really.
Now, you've also got some pretty amazing plans outside of the UK. So those are impressive goals to be setting for yourself anyway. I mean, let's face it, that's a lot of effort, a lot of work. But like you say, it's untaming that beast inside. It's a way of getting out those angsts of like, I'm just going to paddle and get things done and set some records and, no big deal, right? But you're also going overseas. Could you tell us about your overseas plan? They're pretty incredible. If I remember rightly, there's one of them in Namibia, is it?
That's it, yeah. So, I mean, I've been thinking about this one for ages. It's called the Skeleton Coast, which is a really hostile place in Namibia, which is sort of south of Africa. It's 500 miles the stretch, and there's no life on it. And it's back the Portuguese sailors back in, I think it's the 14th century, used to call it the Gates of Hell. So the campaign is called Paddling Through the Gates of Hell.
Oh, brilliant.
We're just finalising that at the moment, and hopefully be doing that in 2021. Really excited about that. I've been having some chats with Red Bull as well, showing a bit of interest in the project, which hopefully, if I can get them on board, that'd be great. Because I think it'd be something that can be done. That they would love, sorry. But the thing is, with the Skeleton Coast, getting access to it is very rare. So this opportunity that I've been given is pretty much a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like the guy that's helping us out, he's one of the only concession holders that has the rights to travel the whole coast, and not even locals get access to the coast. So I mean, just this is going to be a fantastic paddle, and one that I'm really looking forward to. It's one I've been thinking about for years.
Is there a reason why? I mean, you just said it's like, the gates of hell. Why is there restrictions on that coast? I mean, you would think anybody could go there if it's the gates of hell, because no one wants to go there. So do you know anything about that? I mean, this is a bit of a random question, but.
Yeah, I mean, the gates of hell, it's just, I mean, there's so many shipwrecks there. It's because it has a lot of thick fog that comes through. And there's a lot of shipwrecks. It's quite rocky along the area. It's quite a rough patch of sea. It's where two currents meet in the Atlantic Ocean. But the actual Skeleton Coast is a nature reserve as well. That's another reason, yeah, they don't like people to go on it. But luckily, this guy we use him is allowed to do 6 trips a year, and he's allowing us to be one of those trips, which I'm grateful for.
Now that makes sense. It's a nature reserve, so I wondered why there was restrictions on, a barren piece of coast in the middle of Namibia.
Yeah.
Namibia's got some actually quite good environmental what do you call it, things in place to protecting the environment in Namibia, believe it or not, which is quite surprising to me for such small nations being so conscious with ecology and stuff like that. So it's pretty brilliant. So is this a business for you, or is this just like personal? Are you trying to set up a business? I see your t-shirt says Nomadic Paddler. Is that a business?
It's more than it's a brand that I'm creating. It's more of a community than a business. So I want to sort of share my stories with other people to hopefully motivate them or inspire them to go out and have their own adventure. And what I would like to do eventually is sort of build the Nomadic Paddler brand. And anytime people have an adventure, you know, come and share it with us, talk to other people that had adventures. Maybe people can hook up with other people that want to go and have an adventure but don't know where to start. So it's not really a business, it's just a community that I like to start.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think, you know, if you want to evolve that into a business and you've done it in a community base, you could always make that transition to say, hey, let's do some adventures around the world. And, you know, you can, like you say, once you've got a brand going. So that's cool. I mean, I like the concept of, you know, you're starting that to build a community, to tell the stories, to get people involved. Most people just go straight for the money game, you know, so I appreciate that. Yeah. So now, stand-up paddleboarding is a bit of a solo sport, to say the least. You know, you can go out with your mates, have a good laugh and all the rest of it. But you guys are doing some pretty extreme stuff, especially with the Namibia thing. What's the logistics of that? And how extreme is this? And what type of elements would you be facing in Namibia? I mean, I know England's pretty harsh with the weather. Paddling down a bloody canal and camping on the side of the river is pretty damp and dank. But I can only imagine Namibia is a bit more of a challenge. What are the logistics of that?
I mean, so we're going to have a support boat. We haven't got a support boat anymore when we're doing it. So we're going to have a team out on the beach who would be following us. We'll have GPS trackers on us. You know, we'll have walkie-talkies, so we'll be able to stay in contact. But I mean, it's the weather that we'll be fighting with. It's the wildlife. I mean, I don't know how bad it is, but there are sharks in the water. Even on the land, there is some animals as well that, you know, can be dangerous. It's the mind, you know, my own mind as well that I'll be sort of fighting with, you know, just that for 30 days, just paddling out there, you know, sort of just trying to control my mind. And I hear the fog's really bad as well. So it's just sort of the elements really and the environment that I've just got to be aware of.
Yeah, I can imagine if fog comes in and you're out, 100 yards, you know, especially if there's rocks, you might be 200 yards off the coast. And then fog comes in, you could get pretty disorientated and maybe start paddling back the way you came accidentally.
I wouldn't like that.
We set no records that way, but so are all these adventures with the mindset of setting a record? So Namibia, obviously no one's done it. So are you going to record this and set that record?
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking for the fastest time. It's just more being the first. I mean, what I'm trying to do with my paddleboarding is to set world records, but also attempt world firsts as well. So, I mean, with the Skeleton Coast, it's not the only world first. I'm also working on a campaign to do the River Nile as well, which is going quite well. We're looking to do that in December 2023. And there's a load of other rivers out there that I really would love to get my hands onto, and coastlines as well, you know, be the first to paddle these.
Sounds incredible. I mean, so when you try and set these records, do you have organizations that you work with? Are you a fundraising mentality behind it? So it's like, hey, if I paddle 100K, will you give me 10 quid or $10 or whatever it is? Do you work with organizations for non-profit type stuff like that?
Yeah, so every time I'm going to do one of these events or one of these challenges, I do want to work with charity as well. So as I said, the one I'm doing tomorrow is for Gone West and the Prince's Trust. I did one about 6 weeks ago, which was for Tribe Foundation, which fights modern day slavery. So I'm always looking for more charities to work with. But what I like to do is work for those charities that aren't so recognised at the moment, who need that little bit of extra help and support and get their name out there.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. You know, we're one of those organizations that, you know, desperately needs help, and we're not the big boys in the game, you know. So the big boys tend to get more recognition or acknowledgement outside of the smaller people doing the smaller organizations. So I admire you for that. That's amazing. So how could people support you in your organization? How do people get involved? Like, so say somebody who's like, man, that's a great goal, I'd like to help out with that. Do you have a website with events coming up that people can go and support that charity and sponsor you as like a 50K paddle, 100K paddle?
Yeah, so I've got a website which is nomadicpaddler.co.uk. We haven't officially announced the Untamed Beasts campaign yet. We've got, when you go onto our website, there's a holding page saying coming soon. So that will be going up soon with the rivers, you know, and how long it should take and all of that, and the dates we're going to do it. So you can go on there. Social media as well. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Nomadic Paddler, so people can follow me there. And then we will have links to the charities we're going to work for as well. But I mean, if there's any organisations that ever want to work with me or anything, or charities, I'd love to have a shout out. I know we sort of briefly spoke before, you know, then I'm more than happy to hear from people. Or if people just want to share some good news stories with me as well, because what I like to do on my website is interview some people, like a paper interview about overcoming challenges and obstacles, and share that on my website so people can have a read and maybe take something from it.
No, yeah, that's brilliant. So last couple questions. What kind of paddle boards you use? Because there's a lot of inflator. So I mean, for a lot of people that may want to get into this, it's kind of an expensive game to get a really good paddle board. You're looking at maybe £1,500 to 2,000, but there's also blow up versions. What type do you use? And did you start off on just an intermediate one and now you're in the pro stage? Can you talk us through the equipment a bit?
Yeah, no, of course. So it does. I mean, if it's just starting out, then I do highly recommend to get an inflatable one. There are, you know, you can get them from anything from sort of £200 to £500. You know, it's probably sort of $500, $400. And it's good to start there because it's just so easy to pack up as well. So if you just put it in your car, you can drive wherever you want to go and start there. And as you get better, then obviously you can go up. The type I use is called a tourer, which is faster in the water and get you more places, but you can get an all-round board as well, which is a lot more stable, a lot more bigger. So if you're starting out, that's what I'd recommend. As your balance gets better, you want to move faster in the water, then you can go onto the tourers. And at the moment, I've got a racer, which is a very slim one, 14 foot long, that moves through water like a bullet. So that's fantastic. Yeah, 40 feet, which is a rigid one as well.
That's massive.
Yeah. So on the roof racks, driving where I need to go and get someone to pick me up the other end.
Yeah, that brings up another question. Do you have multiple boards, like say from Namibia, for instance? Are you going to have a bunch stacked on the Jeeps as they follow you down the coast? Or are you just pretty confident that one will survive? And another question is, how long is that paddle going to take you? Would it survive that length of time paddling in rough seas, potential rocks?
Well, I mean, I work for a company called Fat Stick, who sponsor me on boards. And when the time comes, we're going to talk about manufacturing a special board for me to do that bit of water. So it'll be just testing boards out in the waters over here, tweaking things, see what works best. And then it might be, you know, getting a couple made up just in case there is an accident on one of them, something gets damaged, and I do have the backup to continue.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So are you going to be out in the water on your own in Namibia, or are you going to take a buddy with you, like a buddy system that if anything goes wrong in a foggy day and there's no one looking at you from the beach, then, you know, you need help?
Well, I mean, the whole reason I managed to meet the team that I've got is because I was talking to two guys who are kayakers, and they've done most of the Namibian coastline. What they've always wanted to do the Skeleton Coast, and unfortunately they've never got around to organising it. And because they've helped me out, I said, well, how about if they want to come and follow me in their kayaks, you know, and then they are there as well to keep an eye on me if anything goes wrong. And I think it's just offering them, you know, the chance to go and do something as well. And then they've done the whole coast themselves, and I think they would love the opportunity. So I will have someone in the water, not a boat, just two kayakers.
That's brilliant, because that's like, you know, they get to say that they've done this leg with you, finished their thing, and you get a bit of backup just in case something goes wrong. And no one's competing in terms of paddleboarding because they're in kayaks. So you get to say you did a solo trip on a paddleboard.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's great that you're getting some custom boards made. And yeah, thanks for the tips. If any listeners are looking to buy a paddleboard, that's some good brands that you've mentioned there. And listen, I really wish you the best of luck tomorrow. and plant a tree for us. I'll donate $5 if you go buy another oak tree and take 2 with you. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out, David. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck for your trip tomorrow. And we will obviously do some updates on you, so the people that are viewing this can see the stories, and hopefully in the next few years we can do some more interviews and showcase what you've been up to and enjoy your successes. So thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for the opportunity. And, you know, just anyone out there, if you know, are scared about going outside or having a little adventure, just do it. Just take that step, you know, go and have a little adventure, even if it's a walk, but just get outside. It's great for your mentality. It's just great for yourself. Like, I just love being outside, and I can't sort of encourage it more to anyone.
No, that's great advice. And thanks again. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Counting Coral relies on public support. If you would like to donate to Counting Coral and help out with the coral crisis, please see the link in the comments section if you are on YouTube, link in the bio if you're on Instagram, link in the post section if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn. The best way to follow us for Counting Coral chats is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell. When you hit the bell, you will be notified every time we post new content. We are always looking for people to join us in one of our chats. If you are interested in what we do and you would like to be on our show, you can email us at connect@countingcoral.com.